because it does create more opportunity for different kinds of jobs to be created. So while, yes, AI might change things, I just don't buy this like the white collar workforce is going away in 5 years and none of y'all are going to have jobs and the sky is falling, the sky is falling. Hi everyone, I'm Lauren Fisher.
And I'm Dave Fisher. We're a husband and wife team of certified financial planners, and together we make up Team Fisher Financial. Welcome to our new series we're calling And Money.
As both a concept and an object, money is a prevalent component of our world and intersects with so many areas of our lives.
By the nature of our job as CFPs, our days are filled with constant conversations around money. Conversations we think are vital for people to consider and understand for their financial universe and beyond.
Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to another episode of And Money. My name is Lauren Fisher, and to my right is my husband, Dave Fisher. We are both certified financial planners. We are obviously husband and wife, and we are business partners. And today in our episode, we are going to talk about AI and money. If you listened last week during Work and Money, we started this conversation, but it was a little bit tangential to what we were actually talking about. Yeah. So we decided that we wanted to take that and flesh it out because we actually have very different views on AI, what its usefulness is, how it should be used, what it means for the future, and how all of that is really going to affect money. There's going to be a little overlap with work because a lot of what we're seeing now is about how AI is going to affect and change the workforce. So let's dive right into it.
Sounds great. So when we're talking about AI, we're talking about artificial intelligence. So when people think that, there are probably two thoughts that come to mind. Robots, they're going to take over.
Terminator.
Yes, Terminator.
He'll be back.
Or streamlined workflows and, making work easier.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the two things that come to mind for me are Terminator and ChatGPT.
Yeah, yes.
So you just went broader.
I went broader, making life and work easier. And there are certain protocols like ChatGPT and various others that make life a little easier than it used to be. Especially you're putting together presentations, you need a workflow streamlined, you need new ideas. Like that helps with a lot of it, right?
It can. It can also be more, it can do more harm than good.
So what you're saying is you're not ready to upload your brain and let AI do your thinking for you.
No, okay. Absolutely not.
Not yet.
So I want to talk about two things.
Okay.
One is just the use of AI in everyday life, ChatGPT, Copilot, whatever your
cloud,
your LLM of choice is. Yeah, whatever it is. And just what that means. Which one did you say? Llama. Yeah. Okay, I haven't even heard of that one. Okay. It's called Llama.
Just go.
Okay. And some of the studies that have come out this year. Why are you laughing at me?
It's just really funny. Go ahead. I like it. I like it a lot. Llama? What?
I don't know why. He doesn't usually laugh at me. In public. Anyway. So first thing is just what it looks like to use AI, how it should be used, and then kind of revisiting our conversation from last week, which is where we tend to disagree on what AI is going to mean for the future of the workforce.
Right.
So which one do you want to talk about first?
Well, I was going to lay a quick foundation.
Okay.
Where we came from and how it is where it is today, right?
Yeah.
So the AI that we're talking about today is very different than what AI was, I don't know, even 5 years ago. So laying a quick foundation, brief overview of history. So 1921, there's a Czech playwright, Karel Čapek, definitely don't, I totally butchered that name, I know, released a science fiction play Rossum's Universal Robots, which introduced the idea of artificial people, which he named robots. It was the first known use of the word in
Interesting.
1921.
Huh.
1929, a Japanese professor built the first Japanese robot. I'm not going to try to pronounce that. 1949, computer scientist Edmund Callis Berkeley published a book, Giant Brains or Machines That Think, which compared the newer models of computers to human brains. So, a long time ago, people were already thinking in this way that maybe machines, computers, robots will be able to think like a human.
And it's interesting, it started with sci-fi
Yes.
because we've actually seen there have been several instances of someone in science fiction coming up with some
The new
crazy idea.
technology.
Like Star Trek
Yes.
had, that's a big thing that people point out. Like Star Trek had a bunch of
Mm-hmm.
technology that
We're now using.
we're now using
Yeah,
that was fiction at the time.
exactly.
But that's interesting.
Yeah. And then there were a few other instances. Alan Turing,
Of
he
course.
published his work, Computer, Machinery, and Intelligence, and became the Turing test. And experts use this to compare or to measure computer intelligence. And the term artificial intelligence was coined and came into popular use. This is 1950.
By him, by Alan Turing.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know he coined the term.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
And then there are lots of things that have happened since then,
Mm-hmm.
where people have trained robots to beat world class champions in chess, right? And other video games where now we have AI beating top players in the world.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be more of a novelty thing
Yeah.
where it's like sideshow type of stuff.
Did you ever watch that show Smart Guy on Disney
Oh, I
with
didn't have cable growing
Oh,
up, so I
that's
don't
right.
know.
You
Yep.
didn't get to watch. Okay, so there was this show and it was called Smart Guy on Disney and it was about this kid who was like 10 or 11
Mm-hmm.
um and I forget the actor's name. And he's like a genius and he goes to high school with his older brother and it's, just this little sitcom about all of it. But I remember there was an episode where he was introduced to a computer that could play chess and it kept beating him.
Mm-hmm.
And I have no idea how accurate this is or if this was even a thing, but at the end of the episode, like the resolution where he was able to beat the computer was he started with a really bad quote unquote opening move
Mm-hmm.
and it like confused the computer
Yeah.
and the computer couldn't solve the problem
Because it was already such a bad situation for him.
because he was playing in such an outlandish way
Yeah.
that the computer like broke or something.
He sounds like a smart guy.
So you talking about, I swear, please, if anybody who listens or watches, if you remember the show and you remember that specific episode, please validate what I'm saying here because that was a thing.
I feel like I need to go back on Disney Plus and find this
I
show,
swear
so I have
I'm
a little
gonna
bit of context.
I bet it's on YouTube somewhere. I bet I can go find it.
All right, let's go find it.
Anyways, so computers playing chess.
That's so good. There was the first driverless car in 1986.
86?
Yeah, no obstacles were on the road. It was basically like cruise control.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
Yeah, but hey, it was the first driverless car. There's nobody in there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty interesting. And then robots obviously starting to simulate human emotions, at least just like physically. Um, those are all things that have happened and kind of laid the groundwork for where we are today.
Mm-hmm.
Technology continues to advance. Computer chips got smaller. Neural networks got better. And that's really where we fast forward into open AI creating ChatGPT.
Mm-hmm.
And ChatGPT and other models,
Llama.
came on the scene. And these are large language models that enable it to make predictions based off of data it absorbed in these neural networks.
Right.
So it's very important to grasp this, that people understand what it is and what it isn't, right? What it is it's actually a useful tool for looking at lots of different ideas, all mostly web based, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's internal to the company, but mostly web based. It's gathering all of this information and condensing it into a usable format for somebody to understand a concept, to articulate a point that they want to make.
Mm-hmm.
It's predictive text. So it's looking at all of this and formulating these ideas in an easily digestible way.
Right.
So that's really what these are doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
There is a term, and I was looking for it. It's generative AI.
Generative AI, right.
So that's the AI that we're touching with, or, every single day we're utilizing in many ways.
Mm-hmm.
So going from there, you wanted to talk about a little bit where we are today
Well,
when it
I
comes to AI.
I think one of the biggest issues with AI in my mind
Mm,
is how it's even being applied and how it's being used now. Um, there's there's been such a concern about students cheating
hmm
using ChatGPT
Yes,
that we're starting to see schools and teachers go back to those like
the blue
the
books, right?
blue books
Yeah,
that got phased out even before, like in what, the late 80s,
yeah. We
early
never
90s.
used
I didn't
them.
even use them.
Yeah.
um but when you look at like students cheating
Mm-hmm.
using ChatGPT, not just to pass a test, not just to like kind of get the last little bit done, but doing it for them, just copy and pasting
Yeah,
whatever gets spit out. There's no critical thinking, there's no desire to learn what you're supposed to learn. And that's, we can go into a whole other discussion about like a commentary around grades and how the US school system is set up, and that's a whole thing about how people only care about, and students are taught to only care about their grades. But
let's regurgitate information to
yeah,
them. Yeah,
that's all that's what testing is.
yeah.
That's what standardized testing is let me regurgitate information that you've given to
Mm-hmm.
me. Okay, well, why not just have a computer do that for me, and then I don't have to work that hard.
What was that book, The Girl Who Had Seven Names? And something that
Yes.
struck me, this is a phenomenal book about a girl that escaped North Korea, but she was an excellent student, had a great memory. And the way that North Korean school systems were set up, it was all about these facts. I'm doing that with quotes, facts that the government wanted you to memorize.
Mm-hmm.
And they would in turn say, okay, as long as you can regurgitate this information, you're a great student. And
Mm-hmm.
she was so good at memorizing stuff that she was always at the top of her class, even though that information was false,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, so something that she talked about was like how much North Korea doesn't want to teach critical thinking,
Yeah.
because then it will actually undermine what they're building in terms
Mm-hmm.
of this autocratic dictatorship
Yeah, they don't
that's
want
formed.
anybody even thinking they can question. So why
Exactly.
would they teach kids how to do that?
It's very,
That's
yeah.
very interesting. And it's a big issue with students, and so you're seeing schools are going like no technology
Mm-hmm.
policies, using those blue books, but it's not just students. I mean, that's really easy. Like I saw a graph, I can't remember where I saw it. I should have saved it. But it was showing like usage of ChatGPT
During the season,
from
the
like
year.
May to June, and there was a massive drop.
Yes.
It's like, gee, what happened? Everybody went on summer vacation and
Mm-hmm.
kids didn't have homework anymore.
Right.
That's pretty sad.
Well, ChatGPT put in a feature that was like study mode, so
Yes.
it didn't give you the answers, but
Mm-hmm.
it helped you like think critically. I
Yes.
haven't used it yet, so I don't know. And you could just like turn it off. So
Yeah, I think there
I
was.
don't know if it's a great feature yet or not.
Is there a way for parents to like control that? There should be like a password.
No
Like in
idea.
like on iPhone, there
Yes.
should be a password of like this is only on study mode and you
Yeah.
can't turn it off.
Yeah.
But it's not just kids.
Mm-hmm.
That is a big issue because we've talked in past episodes, getting into the workforce, you can have the greatest wealth of knowledge
Mm-hmm.
in terms of like knowing facts and knowing data,
Right.
but if you can't think critically, you're really, really going to struggle
Mm-hmm.
because you're going to be expected to be able to complete tasks, handle projects, and the only way to get promotions, be successful is if you have critical thinking skills.
Yeah.
And what they're finding, and a few studies have come out this year, is how much ChatGPT and the use of other AI tools diminishes our critical thinking capacity.
Right.
So
Yeah.
there was an MIT study that was done earlier this year, and it was a small study. Um, so there's people are kind of taking it with a grain of salt a little bit because it was 54 people. They divided them into three groups and they had to write three essays
Mm-hmm.
over the course of a few months. One group was able to use ChatGPT, the other group was able to use like just regular Google search, and the last group wasn't able to use any technology.
Did they go to the library for
I
that?
think so, yeah.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
don't think they're just like right, but they had to go like old school, like go read a
Yeah.
book, go. Um, and it said, and they used EEGs to record their brain activity
Mm.
across 32 regions of the brain, and found that of the three groups, ChatGPT users had the lowest brain engagement and, quote, consistently underperformed at neural, linguistic, and behavioral levels.
Interesting.
Over the course of several months, ChatGPT users got lazier with each subsequent essay, often resorting by the end of the study to just copy and pasting
The whole thing. Yeah.
whatever ChatGPT spit out.
Yeah.
The brain only group that wasn't even allowed to use Google showed the highest neural connectivity, especially, I don't know what this means. Someone with a neuroscience degree would have to explain it, especially in the alpha, theta, and delta bands, which I
Ooh.
think are really important based on.
I just think of finance terms
I
right
know,
now.
I did too. I was like, I don't know what that means with the brain. Um, but it's written right here,
Oh, right below.
which are associated with creative ideation, memory load,
Hmm.
and semantic processing. So this group was more engaged and curious. They claimed ownership, and there was like
Really?
signs
Nice.
of higher levels of
Yeah.
confidence. Um, and they had a higher level. Obviously, they had a higher level of satisfaction with their essays. And then the third group, which used Google search, like they also expressed high satisfaction, active brain function. So the difference is that AI chatbots, even as opposed to Google search, created a massive decline in not only just like personal engagement with what
Yeah.
they were doing, but with overall brain activity.
Yeah.
That they're doing brain scans, and the brain activity between
Hmm.
someone using AI and someone just using like handheld resources was significantly different.
That's crazy to me.
Mm-hmm.
It shouldn't shock me, but in a day and age where, and we work with a lot of people that are aging, and their thoughts turn from their kids and growing wealth and everything like that to caring for their bodies and
Mm-hmm.
aging well.
Yes.
Or if they have family members, parents or grandparents that have had dementia, Alzheimer's, they're
Yeah.
thinking through how can I do anything in my power to delay that onset.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering if we're in effect creating our own wave of epidemic related to memory related issues later on in life because we're just not using our brains.
I think that's a concern
Yeah.
among neuroscientists and among the people who are researching this. There was one other study from earlier this year that Carnegie Mellon
Mm.
University did with Microsoft Research, and it was a survey, I believe, and they said 62% of participants reported engaging in less critical thinking when
Mm.
using AI. And I'm just going to read the quote from the survey. It says, while AI can improve efficiency, it may also reduce critical engagement, particularly in routine or lower stakes tasks in which users simply rely on AI, raising concerns about long term reliance and diminished independent problem solving, and leaves
Mm.
them atrophied and unprepared when the exceptions do arise.
So there will be this point in the future and there's a website called AI 2027. It's very
Yes, you
interesting.
showed me yesterday.
Yeah.
I didn't get to read through it, but I kind of just skimmed and it looked really
And
interesting.
it's super long, but it goes through time, like where we are today through 2027, maybe even longer than that. And it shows different things happening during that
Mm-hmm.
time frame that AI is solving, right? So it's creating different equations to solve for things like cancer
Mhm.
potentially, right? It's creating solutions for our world economic problem. It's creating solutions for you name it. It's trying to figure out ways to better, in many ways, the human life
Mhm.
on this planet. However, what it's also doing is, from an individual perspective, it's replacing our creative thinking, our critical thinking skill set, and making it fully dependent on a computer,
Yeah.
right? Even so that people talk about eventually uploading their brains to basically have it be a AI based brain.
Mhm.
So in the future, when robotics takes over, you could just upload your brain to a robot and live as this robot, but with your brain.
Uh-huh.
However, if our brains just continue
I
to
was I was about to say,
deteriorate,
so AI is going to turn our brains into mush, and then we're going to load that mush up into AI. And we're going to
and
be
then
like,
AI is
see?
going to be like, man, this brain is dumb. But it's,
Oh, that's
I think it's
interesting.
intriguing to me that it is creating efficiencies in the workplace. It's creating, it's taking off of our hands a lot of work that is just busy work.
Mhm.
It's doing that right now. And we should be replacing it with critical thinking in other areas.
Yes.
But I think what's really happening is that people are offloading their jobs to it and then just relaxing
Yeah,
and not doing anything with that extra time they're saving.
or people are creating AI models that they assume are completely flawless
Mm,
and base decisions
yes.
on those, and the way that they're, we say AI models are trained on data. um even when you use ChatGPT, it'll give that little disclaimer that's like, hey, ChatGPT can make mistakes,
Yeah.
like, make sure you're
It can
double
hallucinate.
checking, like.
Like it can create data points that are not true, that never
Hmm.
happened.
Yeah, or even just like sometimes it gets its facts wrong.
Hmm.
Like I was researching. I do use it for research a lot,
Hmm.
because one thing that ChatGPT, in my opinion, is really good at is like consolidating research.
Yeah.
And so I was looking at something for some tax strategy
Hmm.
that we do for high net worth clients, business owners, that's really bespoke and really specific. And it brought up a ruling from an appellate court from like the 60s or something that I was already familiar with.
Hmm.
And it identified the judge who wrote the opinion as a Supreme Court justice. And I was like, he was never on the Supreme Court. And I just knew that because I've done enough tax research
Yeah.
that I was able to be like, wait, that's wrong. And had to kind of go back and I do this anyway, but it was a good reminder
Hmm.
of, it's compiling a lot of data, and it compiled two things and tried to
Yeah.
bridge
Pass it
some
off.
gap that was not there.
Yeah.
So it's just stuff like that
Hmm.
that's small, but still really important, that you can't just copy and paste. You can't just rely on it, but too many people are. And so we've even had times, because I'm concerned about it, and I err on the side of not using it.
Hmm.
So I know there have been times where you've been absolutely right when you're like, why don't you use ChatGPT to help you? And I'm like, no, I will do this on my own. You're like, well, it's going to take you 3 times as long. And I'm like, right, but my brain is working. And you're like,
Right.
okay. You're like, I'm going to go do something else.
Somebody was talking to me the other day about highest best use of time. And it's like, if it's a menial task that does not require like truly accuracy, like
Mm-hmm.
it's not about facts, it's about like a process
Yeah.
or how you can just streamline things. I love it. It makes so much sense to me,
Yeah.
and it enables me to focus on the things that I think truly matter, like our human engagement with clients
Yes.
and prospects,
The
making sure that
most, yep,
yeah,
the most important use of our time.
yeah, so that like we are fully involved in the conversation, and we
Mm-hmm.
are um, we're able to get the nuance that doesn't normally come with folks that are just like entrapped in writing notes all day or
Mm-hmm.
doing things like that. It's more just how can we utilize our time in the best way possible, but if we can actually reframe it to be a tool that
Yes.
helps us to see the world more clearly, or to focus our energies where they matter most,
Mm-hmm.
on people, on resources, on making this world a better place.
Generating new ideas,
Yes.
innovation.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And that kind of leads us to the second thing I wanted to talk about, which is where AI is taking
Mm.
the workforce.
Yes.
Because we've seen, and I'm sure a lot of people who are listening or watching this have seen a lot of what I would classify as hyperbolic headlines about how the white collar workforce is already being decimated, that jobs are just being lost left and right, that AI is going to, but the conclusion is AI is going to replace all of these jobs, period. And that there's just not going to be any more jobs anymore.
Who needs to work?
And then that's when people are like, we're going to need, and people are kind of taking it into, we're going to need universal basic income, and we're going to have to completely restructure our entire
Economy.
capitalist
Yeah.
structure and economy. And it's just, it's very chicken little-y to me, like the sky is falling
Yeah.
a bit. Um, on the flip side, companies are now prioritizing how do we utilize AI.
Yes.
They are expecting their workforce to be more efficient.
Mm-hmm.
They are expecting a lot of teams to have a sole focus on how do we implement AI within this.
Sure.
And to your point, I think that's where I would like to see companies kind of putting some guardrails around this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm hesitant that they will, because what we talked about last week is companies prioritize, especially publicly traded companies, prioritize shareholders
Mm-hmm.
and stock prices.
And what actually helps with shareholders and stock prices? Making money.
Yes.
Generating revenue, having higher net income, and growth in
And
both
a
of
lot
those
of times
categories.
that means cutting costs,
Mm-hmm.
and labor is typically many businesses' largest cost.
Yeah.
So I'm I'm not saying that there is not truth in any of that, and I'm not trying to completely disregard some of the concerns, but these sort of hyperbolic, fear-driven essays, thoughts, opinions have been around in different iterations since any technology, any new technology was brought into the workforce.
I mean, with the car, right? And horse and buggy industry, in a short period of time, all of these trades that were surrounding caring for horses, caring for carriages, like taking care of that stuff, they went away.
Yes. But I kind of looked back at a few examples. And I mean, we're talking 130, 40, 50 plus years ago when we talk about the Industrial Revolution, the .com boom, all of these things. Like, for one, we all know the term Luddite.
Yes.
Where does that term actually come from?
You tell me.
It was it was a group of English textile workers in the early 1800s who protested and destroyed new weaving machinery, new technology that was being introduced in their workforce, because they thought it was going to, quote, steal their bread, replace them as workers, and that they were going to be out of a job indefinitely. In the late 1800s, when typewriters were first introduced, and clerical workers were mostly men who were clerks or scribes, there was a lot of pushback against using typewriters in workplaces because, again, they said, well, what's going to happen to all of these clerks?
Sure.
What really happened was a massive opportunity for women to come in to the workforce that hadn't been there before. And those men who were in those jobs shifted into different, newer positions. Time magazine wrote a cover story called "The Automation Jobless," talking about concerns of how new technology would destroy jobs. I'm going to read the quote. I want you to tell me what year you think that they said it. and you don't look at the paper.
I'm not looking at the paper.
The quote is, the number of jobs lost to more efficient machines is only part of the problem. What worries many job experts more is that automation may prevent the economy from creating enough new jobs.
1986.
1961.
Wow.
When PCs started showing up in offices in the 80s, secretaries, executive assistants started thinking,
this is my job.
This is my job. Yeah. I'm going to be out of a job. I'm not going to have anywhere else to go. I'm not going to have anything else to do. And there, it like on and on and on and on. And as early as the 1930s, John Maynard Keyes, very, very well known, he coined the term technological unemployment in the 1930s. So almost 100 years ago.
Yeah.
So my point is, I'm not disregarding that anytime you look at like, yeah, weaving machinery or typewriters or PCs or automated, what the Time magazine was talking about was like factory automation.
Okay. Yeah.
That obviously changes things. That creates shifts in the workplace. But if you look with hindsight, that's typically to the positive, because it does create more opportunity for different kinds of jobs to be created. So while, yes, AI might change things, I just don't buy this like the white collar workforce is going away in 5 years and none of y'all are going to have jobs and the sky is falling, and it's basically Terminator.
Yeah.
Without maybe the murder. I don't know.
Probably murder involved there too.
I don't even. But like, do you see my point? So I'm just, when I see those sorts of things, I just kind of, I roll my eyes a little bit because I'm like, really? Like, this isn't the first time a significant technology. Yeah. And will it change things? Yes. Is it going to decimate our economy? Nah.
Oh, it's funny because you actually showed me this, but there was a podcast between Neil deGrasse Tyson and Hassan Minhaj.
Yes.
And Neil deGrasse, I'm actually just going to read the quote. It's really great. It said, he was asking about, Hassan was asking Neil about what AI can do and what it will do. And he actually gave a pretty, I think, fair synopsis of how this can work.
Okay.
And he said, AI can only know what already exists on the internet. So if it ingests everything you've done and I've done and tries to be you, it can't be something about you that you invent for yourself tomorrow. Because that's not the internet. That's not on the internet yet. So you can stay ahead of AI by continually innovating in ways that AI does not have access to. So you can say, paint me this scene in the style of Van Gogh, and it'll do it. And then you can say, paint this scene in the style of no one who has ever been born. What? Like,
yeah, that's not possible.
It can't do that. There are people that do say, yes, they're not thinking for themselves yet. This is one of the first iterations of AI that the global population has absorbed and actually tangibly used, right? We've all used AI, we just didn't know it. Right. So like Meta with their advertising and you name it, AI's been around, but the actual tangible use by human beings on a regular basis on a global scale, ChatGPT really introduced that.
Yes.
However, if this is just the first iteration, right? We have other types of AI that are going to be coming on the scene, like agents, AI agents.
Yeah. So you talked about generative AI.
Yes.
So and I'm legitimately asking because I don't, past ChatGPT, the only thing I've heard is like they're going to start thinking for themselves.
Yes.
Which I'm like, I don't know what that. So what does that actually mean?
So a colleague and friend of mine told me about this website, AI-2027, and it goes into this a lot. But they're effectively initially operating like a personal assistant, right?
Okay.
So today it's able to do things like order you food from DoorDash. You just say something and it does.
Oh, you're
it
like,
for
hey
you.
Siri, do XYZ.
Sure.
Okay.
And it's connected and linked. But what it's going to be doing is a lot more than that. You're running a business and it says, you say, hey, calculate the P&L numbers over the past 6 months. Tell me the growth. Tell me what areas have been very helpful in the business growing. What areas have been a deterrent? How can I grow these areas more efficiently?
Hmm.
And it'll actually start to come in with useful information where it gives you all the data, and then it gives you like next steps on how you want to operate your business. So it becomes a lot more ingrained into your work, like we were talking about before. And then the next piece is actually thinking for you, not, and this is where brains deteriorate, right? Where
Mm-hmm.
the fat people in floaty chairs. Um,
From Wally,
from Wally, sorry.
the
Yeah.
Disney movie.
That's just a
Uh,
normal occurrence in our household, apparently.
uh,
So we go from using our brains to our brains becoming mush, and it's doing our thinking for us. So the category is not so much generative, it's actually like formulating its own ideas from the world around it. And you could be like, create a new efficient energy source that is doing XYZ based off of all of the earth factors that we have today. And it would be like, okay, let me run this through my supercomputer cycle and figure out different solutions that could work today. Oh, and these are the new technologies that I'm creating right now. Like generative, like not generative, but the AI models are actually internally creating and saying like, by 2030, I'll have this ready and available for you. It just hasn't been figured out yet.
okay, I have two arguments against that.
Okay.
One, not I'm not arguing that that's not possible and
Sure.
can't get there. I mean, scientists have been working on like supercomputing and quantum
Yes.
computing for a really long time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so in terms of, I fully believe the technology can get there. There are two things about it that I think are still, it's, I just keep me from thinking like, oh, okay, well then that means humanity. What you're basically saying is one day humanity is going to become obsolete.
I don't know if I'm necessarily saying that. I do have the idea that we are innovative and we come up with solutions to
So
not become
that's
obsolete.
that's right. So that's, let's take the energy,
Mm-hmm.
create a new source of energy.
Sure.
Okay, let's say they solve that problem
Mm-hmm.
and they spit out on a screen what you need to do. You can't just like that. That doesn't mean the energy source is there. That doesn't mean the energy source has been created.
Sure.
That just means they've come up with an idea.
Yeah.
Then human beings have to actually go implement said
Said
idea.
idea. Yeah.
And anytime, because I am from the Permian Basin, because I have a little bit of knowledge of the energy sector just because I grew up in it.
Yeah.
Um, when they found oil in the Permian Basin, that was another like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. That didn't account for the amount of risk,
Yeah.
how dangerous it is to pull oil out of the ground,
Mm-hmm.
how expensive it is, how things like currency markets and commodities prices and OPEC and geopolitical changes and movements can affect where in Andrews County, in Ector County, in this tiny little place in West Texas,
Mm-hmm.
is affected by how many people are employed and how many um, pump jacks are going and how many rigs are operating at any given time. Those are things that are not predictable,
Sure.
and human beings are fickle,
Mm-hmm.
and the world is broken.
Yeah.
And so there's like, if you want to take that as an example, on it's a lot of stuff where like on paper that may sound great.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of other factors that I don't think even the most intelligent supercomputer in the world can accurately predict or account for.
So what you are saying is human beings will find a way to screw up great new advances so that we can actually get paid to work.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that the world is too complex
Yes.
and there are too no, and there are too many unpredictable factors
Yeah.
and things that like black swan events that
Mhm.
we've talked about before that happen that cannot be accounted for. You're so happy with yourself.
I'm a little happy with
So
myself.
that's the first thing. And then the second thing is going back to what Neil deGrasse Tyson said, which I agree with, and he's super smart. So, um, when it comes to like a new work of art,
yeah,
or innovation, or even just like a new idea. So, for example, and this is just the first thing that came to mind, Liquid Death, the water
the
company.
water company.
The water company.
Well, they do sweet tea now.
Yes, they have branched out, but
and maybe an energy drink. I don't know. I haven't looked at
but
their products in a while.
you actually told me about the master class that their CEO did.
Yes.
And when they didn't have a lot of money, a lot of resources, and they were trying to think of creative ways to market.
Yes.
One of the things they did, which is so weird, but there was a market for it.
Innovation.
Yes,
right?
innovation.
Human thinking
Yes.
and creativity.
They reached out to Tony Hawk and got a sample of his blood.
Yes.
And what did they put it in?
They
A
mixed
skateboard?
it in paint.
Yes.
Red paint that they put on limited edition skateboards.
Yes.
That sold out immediately.
And they put it on YouTube. They filmed him. Yes.
Getting the blood drawn. Yes.
What computer is going to come up with that?
Who's
true. For a canned water company? And it was genius. I still think it's super icky. I don't. If you have one of those skateboards, I don't want to touch it.
It's a good thing you don't ride skateboards.
That's true. I was not the target demographic, and that is fine. But like that kind of stuff, and people looked at that and were just like,
no one could have.
Nobody could have thought of that except for him.
Yeah. And
that's the kind of stuff. And I talked about last week, chocolate chip cookies. Would chocolate chip cookies exist without honestly, human mistake?
Yeah.
So if you don't know, the story is there was this little, like, I think it was a bed and breakfast or something.
Yeah.
And they had these like chocolate cookies that they would make, and they ran out of the dough that they normally used. But they had chocolate chips, and they were like, how about we just mix the chocolate chips into regular dough? And their thought was it'll just like melt into the dough and it'll become chocolate cookies. Obviously, that's not how baking works. And so ergo, chocolate chip cookies were invented, and
it's magic.
It's magic.
Yes.
Now, what ChatGPT probably would have said, or whatever this AI agent stuff would have said, was no, don't do that, because it won't work.
Oh, so then we don't get accidental innovation.
Exactly. So that's the kind of stuff that I look at when I hear these arguments, or when people get really concerned that maybe I'm just trying to be optimistic about humanity and human ingenuity and what that's going to look like for people, regardless of what technology is out there. But I just look at it and I'm like, there's just like, you can't manufacture. There's an intangible piece of humanity that you just can't manufacture using a computer.
Yeah, it's a good point. I think my AI person that I created to replicate myself would agree.
You're already gonna upload your brain to the cloud?
Oh no, it's not an upload of the brain. You just ask or answer some questions about yourself, upload a video, and it kind of imitates. I don't know if you knew that.
Wait, have you done it? Why haven't you shown me?
Finished it yet.
Okay. Wait, so is it gonna like look like you?
No, you can have it look like you, but really it's more about like how it responds to things. So it responds like you would. A lot of people, a lot of small business owners will actually replicate themselves for their business, and then use AI to answer questions that people ask on their webpage or whatever. Send an email, and it'll automatically respond as them, in their same tone, in their same voice.
I know don't like that.
I'm not doing that, just so you know.
No, I know.
It's me.
No, we're not doing. I don't like that.
I like to see where this technology goes, but at the end of the day, even on social media, various
Mm-hmm.
things like that, what we're finding is that people are communicating with AI and then they're responding with AI. So it's just like AI conversations back and forth. And you can tell really quickly who's just like formulating ideas, spit it out, versus somebody that put some thought into it
Mm-hmm.
and results in true engagement between human beings. There's a level of difference that
Yes.
happens in that engagement, which is why certain industries that might go away just because technology advances and it makes it a lot easier for people to access that knowledge
Mm-hmm.
may not go away that quickly because the human engagement actually matters. Connecting
Yes.
with another human being at that level, it truly matters.
Yes. Oh, it really does. That's
Yeah.
I don't like that at all. As, as people in a
Yeah,
service-based, advice-based business,
exactly.
I putting myself in my client's shoes, I would lose a lot of confidence
Right.
in whoever I was working with
Yeah.
if they had just trained some AI bot
Mm-hmm.
to respond to me,
Yeah.
because that shows me, like, do you actually care,
Yeah.
or am I just a number to you?
Yeah.
And there's, we've said this before, there's absolutely nothing wrong with making money and profit and
No,
all of these things. Like, this is
we
what we
help
talked
people
about is
do that. Yeah.
everyone shows up, for the most part, shows up to work to make money. There's nothing
Yeah.
wrong with that, but it shouldn't become such a sole focus that you completely forget what the job is that you're supposed to be doing to be making that money.
It shouldn't be your sole focus so you don't lose your soul.
Oh, that's good.
Well, I'll say it better for future reference. But yes,
No, that was good.
thank you.
I liked it.
Thank you.
All right. Well, funny thing is, we didn't actually really touch on how it's going to affect, like, money decisions,
Right.
more so than how it's going to
Just
affect work. So I feel like this is kind of
was a
just,
work as a AI work
yeah,
and money
yes,
conversation ish.
but it was there. It was just underlying. It was below the surface.
Well, we appreciate you being with us and joining us. Let us know what your thoughts are on AI and work, and based off of your particular career as well.
Mm-hmm.
We're always curious to get people's intake, and it is a world that's moving very quickly.
Yes.
So finding out what direction it's going, how it affects people, like we're very much involved in that conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. We appreciate you. We are glad that you tuned in, and we will see you next week.
Bye, y'all.
Thanks, guys.